The story starts with a strange girl named Guri who arrives at the house of Seiji Aino with a notebook called the Kiss Note, which has the power to cause love between people no matter what. She then claims that if Seiji does not kiss someone within 24 hours, he will forever become a celibate, which Seiji misunderstands, so he ends up kissing her instead. The next day, Seiji's crush, Akane Hayama, discovers his and Guri's apparent relationship, thus attempting to destroy them both with Kurka knives out of jealousy. However, Seiji and Akane eventually reconcile as Guri reveals her status as an angel from heaven, pairing them together with the Kiss Note, but not without including herself into the harem, much to Akane's disappointment. Later, Guri's boss, Coralie, possesses the body of Seiji's cat, Blue, informing Seiji and Akane that they have become immortal and must help Guri complete her duties as an angel or risk being sent to hell. Later at school, a mysterious girl steals the Kiss Note, later revealed to be Akane's younger half-sister, Yuzuki Chogasaki, who has telekinetic powers and also happens to be obsessed with Akane. Wait, what? Sussy alert. Perfect. So Yuzu is ultimately incorporated into Seiji's harem by Guri as well. The next day, Akane meets Seiji's tomboyish younger sister Akua Aino. Later, Seiji confiscates the Kiss Note after discovering Guri and Yuzu are using the Kiss Note to pair up random students, just like in those TikToks. However, Guri and Yuzu soon find a love poem written by a teacher named Kusunoki, who is actually in love with a student named Mary. Although Guri, Akane, and Yuzu believe that Kusunoki and Mary would make a great couple, Mary later admits to Seiji that she only sees Kusunoki as a little brother, even though he's older. Nevertheless, Guri had planned on taking Mary hostage as a ruse for Kusunoki to rescue Mary. However, actual bank robbers take both Guri and Mary hostage. Unfortunately, Seiji is shot in the arm while protecting Yuzu, who ends up developing feelings for Seiji. But Kusunoki is too weak while trying to protect Mary. When Akane arrives, she violently destroys the bank robbers for shooting Seiji in the arm. As such, Kusunoki confesses to Mary that his love for her would be inappropriate and will wait until the label of teacher and student no longer applies. Meanwhile, Mary reveals to Kusunoki that she has known all along. She privately tells Seiji that she secretly manipulated Kusunoki into falling in love with her. In the aftermath, little sis Aqua learns that Seiji has 3 girlfriends, so she punishes him by scraping toothpaste in his eye. Later, Yuzu forcibly attempts to befriend Aqua, who slips out her own feelings for Seiji. Aqua is then approached by Stolas, a demonic penguin somehow obsessed with her. Luckily, Seiji arrives to save Aqua right in time after she jumps from a tree, while Stolas is arrested by the riot police. Meanwhile, Seiji and Guri observe an argument between a cheating man named Yu and several women, but Seiji gets unintentionally pulled into the fight, causing the Kiss Note to be consequently burned. Coralie then admits that he does not know what will happen now, since the Kiss Note has never been destroyed before. The next day, Akane ignores Seiji during school, concluding that his harem will break up, but Seiji, Guri, and Yuzu are approached by Taira, another angel and Guri's friend, who reassures them that the other couples are still together so they don't have to worry. Nevertheless, since Taira is pregnant and retiring, she gives her own Kiss Note in the form of a smartphone to Guri as a replacement. Suddenly, an upset Akane appears and kisses Seiji before hitting him repeatedly. As such, Guri fortunately restores the harem and immortality just in time for her new Kiss Note. Eventually, Guri learns that Yuzu skips her actual school in order to stalk Akane. However, Akane was already aware of this and tells Yuzu to continue attending her actual school, causing Yuzu to run away in tears. After fending off a sussy Beka, Yuzu falls into a river until Seiji arrives to rescue her. Though she admits her jealousy for not taking action sooner, Yuzu swears that she will win Akane's heart someday. The next day, as Seiji comes down with a cold, a girl named Shikimi Shiramine approaches Seiji and Guri for help with her crush. But Shikimi unfortunately does not know his name. As Seiji and Shikimi take a walk together, he accidentally reveals that his harem is immortal. Meanwhile, Guri realizes that her Kiss Note has been stolen. Shikimi then lures Seiji away and kidnaps him, as she unveils her true appearance as a pink-haired sadistic psychopath. Revealing the stolen Kiss Note, Shikimi tortures Seiji to find out how Guri grants immortality. Meanwhile, Guri mentions to Akane and Yuzu about Shikimi, which enrages Akane and terrifies Yuzu. With an interesting turn, Shikimi is revealed to be Akane and Yuzu's cousin, and she restrains Akane from Seiji, but Yuzu defends Akane from her. When Guri arrives, Shikimi attempts to manipulate her into joining the harem, claiming that she is in love with him, but Guri refuses, because she senses that Shikimi is devoid of love. Suddenly, Shikimi receives a phone call from Akane's mother before she leaves, not long before ultimately swearing to join the harem someday. Seiji then perishes on Akane's lap, where he finds himself in heaven. He meets with Coralie, who takes Seiji to see a clumsy geezer named Kami, who is the current god and Guri's father. While hanging out with Tara and Coralie, Kame explains to Seiji that Guri will replace him as the new god someday. So Seiji is tasked to teach Guri all about true love. However, the meeting is interrupted by Mao, the current ruler of Hell, who is determined to employ Guri as a demon, but Seiji claims that Guri would not be interested in either role, seeing as she is far too free-spirited. As such, Kami and Mao agree that Guri is still too immature, and Seiji returns to Earth in order to teach Guri all about true love. Back in the real world, Aqua is invited to the beach by Seiji, but she is joined by the rest of his harem. While having fun at the beach, a volleyball war erupts when Guri throws a volleyball into Akane's special area. Meanwhile, Seiji encounters Shikimi at a concession stand, but she blames him for making Akane lame. Meanwhile, Shikimi explains that the Hiyama family, who wield the magical spears, are rivals against the Kichogasaki family, who bear the magical shields. As such, Shikimi is convinced that Akane is too weak to survive the feud. This is proven true as Stolas, who has returned for Aqua again, badly injures Akane during their fight despite Akane's victory. That night at school, Seiji, Guri, Akane, and Yuzu attempt to help a couple prove their love by hunting ghosts. So while at the rooftop, Akane questions Guri if she truly loves Seiji, and Akane then tells Guri to stay away from Seiji because she is such a nuisance. Meanwhile, it turns out that the couple are actually ghosts who had fallen in love, while various lurking spirits refuse to let them go to heaven until their love was proven. At the same time, Guri is left troubled by her own feelings. Later, Guri finally becomes angry when Seiji refuses to go to a festival with her after already making plans with Akane and Yuzu. Meanwhile, at the bookstore, Guri encounters a kind-hearted guy who also asks her on a date, but she ends up constantly comparing him with Seiji. At the festival, the guy tries to kiss her, but she rejects him because she's unable to stop thinking about Seiji. She then bumps into the man himself, who came to the festival to stop her from complaining even more. However, despite his bad qualities, she finally kisses him after realizing that she's the happiest when they are together. It then turns out that the guy was actually under mind control by Mao, who was eager to ruin the relationship between Seiji and Guri. Afterwards, Akane's mother, Suhiyama, orders Akane to break up with Seiji. Suddenly, Seiji is attacked by assassins, but Aqua arrives to save him. Meanwhile, Yuzu is glad to befriend Guri, who appreciates Yuzu's invisible barrier, which she had since childhood. An imprisoned Akane then recalls the first time she met Seiji, and she supposedly fell in love with him almost instantaneously. In the aftermath, Shikimi tells Seiji and Aqua that the assassins work for Suo, while Akane ends up locked up in the family household as punishment for falling in love. Enter Yuzu's attendant, Taro Soroka, who drives Guri and Yuzu to the Hayama household, where Guri and Yuzu get past the assassins to see Akane, who shockingly attacks the two. Suo then appears just as Seiji, Shikimi, Aqua, and Coralie arrives. After throwing Coralie at Aqua, Shikimi captures and tortures Seiji. As Suo orders Akane to eliminate him, Akane hesitates and drops her sword after he brings her back to her senses. Yuzu's mother, Amisha Kichogasaki, then arrives and